So exciting. I can't believe we're backstage now officially after the big fall winter fashion show. So what was the massive inspiration behind the show this year? It felt like it was very different from what we normally see in your wedding collection.
This collection was inspired by the film The Story of Adele H, which is a French movie by François Truffaut, and it's a real life memoir story about the daughter of Victor Hugo, who falls madly in love with this man who is a lieutenant overseas in Nova Scotia, and she's obsessed with him. And it transitions from her going very optimistic, determined to get this man, into, a love phase, descending down into complete madness. I wanted to show a progression of where she goes, up high, light, bright, and then down and just completely total chaos. They were divided into 4 groups. The first group, very put together, black and whites. Mm-hmm. The second group, it's, the romance, the light, the almost, mm-hmm. muted pastels in there. And then this is the third group, Obsession. And there were rusts, plums, wines, burgundies, a lot of hand painting in there. But this is the actual finale piece, which starts to lighten up at the very end. Mm-hmm. Was dark navies, dark blues, and then this was the finale piece with a little bit more brightness in there. Love the forest greens, and I wanted to, pull out that nature element of there and make it feel really raw and really organic, and just using, the paintbrush and using the dyes and just pulling that down.
Now, did you custom mix these to get to the colors that you wanted?
I did. I used, probably no less than 3 different dyes in order to accomplish the final color that I was after.
When did you first start using RIP?
Oh, probably when I was about 8 years old. I remember dyeing dance costumes with my mom, trying to dye little nude briefs to go under dance costumes, dye old t-shirts that I had spilled on myself and stained and wanted to save and wear again. So yeah, I was doing it since a kid. Every time I create, it's a one-of-a-kind item, and that's adds to the specialness of it. It's also sometimes a little bit frustrating when you're like, oh my gosh, I created the most amazing thing and I want to make it exactly the same again. Well, you can't, but right. That's part of the greatness of it. You pour a little bit more dye in one time, you pour a little bit less dye in, and the results are completely different.
And the eyedroppers, there seems like it's your little magic wand.
Yeah, the eyedroppers are my little magic wand, especially when you're taking the pure pigments versus just pouring the bottle on, which I've done too. Mm-hmm. But when it drops in a very even amount, it likes to fan out in a very even amount too. Depending on what kind of way that you have the fabric folded or whatnot, and the results just vary wildly.
So when you leave at night after you've painted everything, you're not really sure what you're going to see in the morning?
No, that's the funnest part of it. Is sometimes I go home and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to come in the morning and see what kind of magic has happened overnight with the fabrics. And then you unfold them and press them out, and you see all these pretty patterns and colors blending into one another, and it's like Christmas morning.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And it never bothers you that you don't know what you're going to get?
I kind of know within reason, because I know the colors well enough. I've used Rit dye for such a long time, and I know the color ranges that I'm getting, and I have a good idea of what I'm going to have. But, what you can never predict is the way that the fabrics are going to dry, and, kind of those color rings that you're going to be left with. That kind of probably varies depending on the humidity.
Right.
There's probably so many different variables that can change that. I have a lot of bridal clients who want to add a little bit of color into their wedding dresses, and a lot of times do a color underlay on some of their dresses. And often they've already picked their palette for their weddings or for whatever event that they're going to, and I can always match that with Rit dye.
So what's next? Where do you go from here? You've had Etsy shop for a long time. Are you still on Etsy? What's happening there?
Yeah, I'm still selling a lot of dresses on Etsy. We're about to open up a secondary site that's a little bit more accessible to everybody. Some simple, ready-to-wear pieces, hand-dyed tops, a little bit lower end bridal. That's all just online only pieces ready to go.
Beautiful. Oh, that's great. And then sometimes girls come back or clients come back with their wedding dresses for their first anniversary. And
Yes.
what do you do with them then?
We've had quite a few of our brides come back to us, and all along they knew they wanted to be able to repurpose their wedding dress and wear it again. What I normally do for them is I'll hem their dress, and we usually dye it a light shade, a taupe, beige, purple or pink, and they're able to wear their wedding dress again. And a lot of them do on their first anniversary, just to see if their husband recognizes the dress that they're wearing.
Oh, what a great idea.
Which is fun.
Well, I can't wait to see what you create with Rit next.
Thank
you
you.
so much. This has been
Thank
such
you.
a treat.